I think, the way you roast coffees is I would classify as high definition. You're able to taste a lot of what the coffee has to offer.
Solubility is high.
Wow. I mean, when you added water on that, explosive.
Yeah, it just blew up. The tasting notes from 1 to 2 weeks, 3 weeks are very different. The tasting notes via filter are very different than, if you were to pull this as espresso. So you could have multiple lists of adjectives for this coffee.
So this is one of the coffees that we are releasing for this really fun Bay Area micro roaster celebration, where we're featuring a lot of these roasters that we work with. And Flower Child Coffee, Preston here, is one of the roasters we've been working with for a while, and we have a really awesome coffee that we will taste. But we wanted to do a little bit of a re-intro. If you haven't heard about Flower Child Coffee,
Hello, I'm Flower Child. My name is Preston. We started this company 3 years ago, 2022. It's 2025. And a lot has happened in that span of time, but we are a small roaster trying to provide really clean, vibrant, outstanding coffees from some of the most professional farmers that we can find, that we can work with. I'm roasting the coffee in as clean and clear, transparent manner as possible, so a light roast. And we're having fun doing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the thing with Flower Child coffees is, I would say, the level of expressiveness and cleanliness that you can find. One, it's because of the quality of coffees that you're sourcing, like this one we're about to taste, but also the roasting style. I think, the way you roast coffees is I would classify as high definition. You're able to taste a lot of what the coffee has to offer, but then because those coffees are so expressive, you get a lot of really just nice you get a lot of just really nice subtle qualities. Like, for example, the coffee has sweetness in it. You get a lot of sweetness. But generally, because you're getting coffees that are, clean and expressive and vibrant, that is what the cup of coffee will taste like. And when you brew Flower Child coffees, you can express these coffees in so many different ways. You can brew them on a variety of methods, push them in so many different directions, and that's just because the roast is great and the sourcing is amazing.
Solubility is high. So yeah, espresso, good to go. AeroPress, good to go. Filter, my favorite, always wonderful. And it just cups so well. So however you shake it, these coffees are meant to be clean, clear, obviously fun, and uniquely their own via terroir and variety. It's kind of how we focus on sourcing coffee. So that kind of brings us to this coffee here from Ecuador. One of the great farmers out of Loja, Ecuador, produces a Mejorado, which is a landrace variety that Abel Salinas is growing on his farm, Finca, Arashi. Oh my goodness, heavy sweetness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and also at the end, clean.
Yeah.
We're talking clean presentations of aromatics.
Yeah.
And that's a really nice thing, right? When you have quality coffees, quality roasting style, we're not getting things that obscure what the coffee is supposed to taste like.
Right. Yes, hence clean. And yeah, there's there's an obvious, very clearly stated nuance there. There's definitely stone fruit sharpness.
Mm-hmm.
You get like apricot in here. It's a small farm, 7 hectares, which is less than 5 acres. And so you imagine putting 22,000 coffee trees on that size of a farm. He's managed to do it. He's got H1, Cedra, and a few other varieties that he's planting in his nursery at the moment. But a lot of specialty roasters like myself have really, really gravitated towards his work, just because the cup score is so high, the quality's consistent year after year, even with all of the climate issues that they've been having out there in that particular region, lack of rain and just disease. Mejorado is still, it's being a landrace, it's a tall shrub, it's not the easiest to maintain year in, year out. So all that given for someone like Abel to be able to consistently produce a Mejorado like this is amazing. And so, a roaster like myself sees that happening It's got a lot of berry coming off of it just from the wet aroma. I think it's just illuminated the dry fragrance in a whole new aspect. I think that's why coffee's so fun, is you get to experience all of these levels of sensations and smells, and yeah, it just continues as the cup goes from hot to cool. So, and this coffee is really fun. I mean, Mejorado is a landrace that, given where it's grown and how it's processed, can be very, very bright and pointed and almost singular. A lot of yellow fruit at times. And then when you get it in certain areas like Loja, where it's very high up, but with this processing, holding cherry time of almost a few days, you just get a little bit more depth of sweetness, darker fruit, more grape. So it has a range depending on how it's, where it's grown and then how it's processed. And I really, really enjoy Abel's iteration of Mejorado. It's kind of gives you both those high notes and that really deep sweetness, and all tropical within,
Yeah, and if you are more coffee keen and you have tasted Typica Mejorados before, you still will find that cleanliness in Typica Mejorado. The interesting thing that I have observed with some of these coffees is intensity. I do think Typica Mejorado has, depending on how it's brewed, really, like how you can push those coffees to be more intense, but generally I would say like softer and delicate is what I have experienced.
It's very accessible that way, just with the heavy sweetness, with the overall saturated sugars.
Yeah, and when you're brewing this coffee, you can brew it in a variety of ways and express those flavor notes in different ways. So, if you don't get the flavor notes that are on the bag or on the cards or, on the website, right, that's okay, because I think this coffee can be expressed in so many different ways. Like, you can stretch the flavor notes in various directions. We'll see it as we taste, and that's the kind of fun thing with coffee, is that it's really a transformative experience, especially when you are sourcing coffees like this. It's like it can taste one way brewed, in this format versus another way, and you kind of want to also open up the coffee, obviously let the coffee rest and see what the journey's like.
Yeah.
How the flavors change.
I was gonna say, this coffee is interesting because the tasting notes from 1 to 2 weeks to 3 weeks are very different. The tasting notes via filter are very different than if you were to pull this as espresso. So you could have multiple lists of adjectives for this coffee, and I think that's what makes this level of coffee so interesting. You get to taste all of the different ways that it can manifest and brew and extract. So a lot of rounded sweetness with some acidity on the end there.
Yeah, but I think the acidity in here is like very structured and high definition. Like, we're able to taste layering in the acidity underneath a lot of the sweetness.
It's just pleasant.
Very pleasant. Linger on your tongue. Sweetness. I mean, I get that acidity, and I would say this is very yellow fruit, tropical, mango, but then it just kind of transforms into this sugar sweetness that is pretty heavy, actually. It's just on there, and then it really falls in the silky, smooth, round way, clean finish, but long linger. The sweetness.
Yeah, pillowy soft. Yeah, it's just got a nice lush fill, fills the palate, and then drops off, like you said, in a nice decrescendo, pillowy, soft, clean, lightly floral. It's just straightforward fruit, cherry impartation from one of our favorites, Mejorado.
Wow, but that is what we just wanted to show off today. This coffee here, Abel Salinas, roasted by Preston of Flower Child. Wanted to thank you guys so much for watching this video, picking up the coffee, and following along this video with us tasting the coffee. And if you have any questions or you want to, see more coffees like this, let us know. But there are only a limited quantity of these coffees around, and we're really happy to be featuring a coffee of this caliber for you all. So thank you so much for spending the time to watch this video, and thank you, Preston, for doing this and releasing this coffee with us. So there you go. All right. See you guys later.